Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Open Cluster Management Community meeting. Today is December the 6th, 2024. On the agenda today, I will be presenting the Argo CD agent add-on with the OCM. So let me share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I guess we can call this part two of the presentation on the Argo CD agent integration with OCM. So just to give another quick background, we all know what OCM is. So the Argo CD agent is a new project by the Argo CD team. It's mainly used to provide, the hub spoke model, which is similar to OCM-io, where now they can delegate some of the heavier workload components, such as the application controller, to the workload clusters, so that the heavy workload compute is done on the spoke side instead of all on a central cluster, which is the current Argo CD model. So again, just a quick summary on what the Argo CD agent is for, and what this solution provide in our OCM repo on the solution slash Argo CD agent is really provide you a guide, and I'm gonna walk you through one by one on each steps of what how OCM can integrate, how Argo CD agent can work within the OCM ecosystem, right? And it's mostly leveraging the great foundations that the OCM provides, the add-on framework and the add-on template. So using the OCM add-on, it makes setting up this agent a lot easier. And once we set it all up, I'll also walk you through how to deploy these Argo CD applications and leveraging the Argo CD agent model within OCM. So why use the OCM with the Argo CD agent add-on, right? Like what does OCM provide for the Argo CD agent project? So again, thanks to OCM, we now have a more centralized deployment, because the spoke clusters or the managed clusters are already registered to OCM hub clusters. So you can plan out your deployment all from a centralized location, which is the hub. And then additionally, depends on your add-on installation strategy. You know, any new register OCM managed clusters that's being managed under the fleet will automatically receive the Argo CD agent deployment, right? So it reduces another extra step of manual deployment and manual management. And then, once the Argo CD agent components deploy on the spoke cluster, now the life cycles of the components also managed by OCM and from the hub cluster. And if there's ever an agent that you find, is being, compromised or malicious, it's easily we can revoke the access to that agent on the hub cluster. And then, leveraging some of the great work that OCM has been done on the placement API, the add-on can again take advantage of the install strategy, and then which helps control the rollouts and the initial placement of the Argo CD agent component as well. And once the add-on is installed on the hub and the agent is deployed to the spokes, you get a centralized health status on all those instances across the entire fleet. So which, if ever there's some apps that's misbehaving, you can quickly check if is the agent component not behaving properly, or something else that's wrong. So having that centralized health view is quite handy. And then again, it simplifies the maintenance, right? Because we're having the centralized location that can manage the whole life cycle of the Argo CD agent components, which means the upgrades and rollback can be done across multiple clusters easily. And then the cool thing is, so the Argo CD agent has two components. There's the principal, and then there's the agent side, which sits on the spoke, and they communicate through MTLS. And the initial registration requires kind of the client certificate signing to establish that MTLS connection. But the add-on framework, the nice thing about OCM is the add-on framework take care of all of that using the custom signers. So this helps makes the registration of the agent component a lot easier, and also the cert will automatically rotate if there's ever come close to expiration. And then again, it's very easy to configure or make changes to the Argo CD agent deployment using the OCM add-on template, because there's no coding, there's no binary building or anything. We're using the add-on template, and then which makes it really easy to update the deployment modification. So before I moved on to actually walking through all the steps and doing a demo, any questions regarding the OCM or the OCM add-on or the Argo CD agent add-on in general? Okay, I'm gonna jump straight into the prerequisites first then. So we need, of course, we need at least minimum 2 clusters to play around with this. We need a hub and one manage. The hub have to have a load balancer, because we need the Argo CD agent principal needs to expose the endpoint for the agent component to connect to. And then also, because it needs the MTLS connection, to establish that secure endpoint between the spoke and the principal. So you'll need the usual cryptographic keys and certificates, the CA, TLS, and the JWT. And then you'll also need the Helm CLI, because the most of the installation, most of the deployment is done through Helm chart. So the first thing we do is clone the add-on contrib repo where the Helm chart is residing. So let's look at the repo first before we jump into cloning it. So in this repo, there's a charts folder which holds the 3 Helm charts, and I'm gonna go step by step when I'm installing it. But just to give a quick overview first, the first Helm chart is the Argo CD hub. So this chart installs an opinionated Argo CD into the hub cluster. So the reason we have a custom chart instead of just installing directly from Argo CD, like for example, the quick start link, is because we don't want to include the compute intensive components like the application controller into this Helm chart, because on the hub we don't want the application control, or we don't need the application controller to exist. The application controller is supposed to live in the spoke, where we can sort of delegate that workload down to the many spokes and relieve the pressure of of the hub cluster. So which brings me to the second Helm chart, the Argo CD add-on. So this add-on is installed on the hub, but it also leverages the add-on template, which means it automatically deploys the Argo CD instances. It's another opinionated Argo instances designed for deploying into the spoke clusters, which means this Argo CD has the compute intensive components such as the application controller, but it might not have stuff that the hub have. For example, maybe it doesn't have the UI, it doesn't have the server API, etc. So that's why it's I call it the opinionated Argo CD install that's dedicated for workload compute purposes. And then finally the third chart is the actual Argo CD agent add-on. So this chart again, this will be installed on the hub cluster, which create the Argo CD agent add-on template, and then all the related CRs. And then when it's installed, it will deploy the Argo CD agent add-on components to all the managed clusters. So let's start with that. So on the left side here, I'll be mostly playing with the left side, which is the hub cluster. And then the right side, I have a managed cluster that's registered to the cluster called cluster one. So copy and pasting from the instructions. Actually, before I move on, any question regarding the three charts? Okay. So I'm gonna clone, get to the Argo CD agent add-on folder. Now I'm gonna create the Argo CD namespace, and I'm gonna install the first chart, the Argo CD hub chart into the hub cluster. So again, this is for the hub Argo CD instance. You know, let's validate the pods are running. This might take a while, so we'll probably come back to this. We'll probably come back and check a bit later. So the second step in parallel while we wait for all the pods to run is again we're gonna install the Argo CD agent add-on. This is gonna deploy the opinionated, more minimalistic Argo CD instance to the spoke clusters. So this one again will contain the application controller while the hub doesn't. So if I look on, so there's no application controller here on the hub side. But if I look on the spoke, the application controller is here. But again, notice how it doesn't have some of the other stuff like server and application set controller, which is needed on the hub. But since on the spoke, we're mostly interested in the application controller that will reconcile the application Argo CD application CR. That's why it's not needed. The server and the application set controller is not needed. I mean, technically you can still have it, but to demonstrate in a more meaningful way, our Helm charts here we'll remove them. So let's validate the Argo CD add-on is successful. Yep, it's now available and running, and then I can see the pods are running as well. So now we get to the first steps. First. So this is the third Helm chart that will be installed on the hub cluster, and this is one of the more complicated one. It's complicated, but it doesn't take a PhD to figure it out. So this Helm chart contains two components, because the Argo CD agent primarily contains two main components. It's got the principal component and the agent component. So the principal component will be installed on the hub cluster, and then the agent will be deployed through the add-on, and then deployed down to the managed cluster. So these files that I will talk about a little bit later. I have all the notes here, but essentially they point to it's pointing to the cryptographic keys and the certificates to do the MTLS connection. And then the principal address, again, that's where the load balancer, why the load balancer requirement is needed, because we need to expose the principal needs to expose the endpoint so the agent can connect to it. And then the agent mode here, we talked about it in the last community meetings. This is the Argo CD agent mode, there's a manage, and there's autonomous mode. If you need more information about what they means, you can always refer to the Argo CD website. When I demonstrate the application deployment, I will go over to it again when I do the actual app, GitOps app demonstration. So for now, let's install this Helm chart in manage mode. Okay, so the first thing we should check is to make sure on the hub cluster the pod is running. And then we need to validate the Argo CD agent add-on is successfully deployed and available. So it might take a little bit, yes. So we can check on here. The agent, the Argo CD agent is the pod is running on the spoke, so the add-ons working. It just takes some time to get the status feedback, and we can see on the hub side the principal is on the hub, the agent's on, right? So everything should work properly. And now we can see the Argo CD agent add-on comes online on the for cluster one as well. Okay, let me talk a little bit about the notes here. So for the crypto keys and the certificate, if you need help, I have a section here on how to generate one. And then regarding the server address, again, this talks about the principal service. So usually it should match the external IP coming out from the Argo CD agent principal service. And this part here, why is it on the hub namespace here? This is because the custom signer currently needs the principal component to be installed on the hub. I think Zhu Zhang is working on enhancing the customer signer part so that it can be placed in any namespace. So once, I don't know if it's Zhu Zhang or another developer is able to complete that issue, we can change this to we can change the principal deployment into a more appropriate namespace like the Argo CD namespace. And then for the HMO, again, refer to the doc here, but I will also, when I do the deploying the actual application, I'll talk a little bit about it. And then the tricky part here is the Argo CD agent besides the MTLS, also requires a authentication scheme. And I kind of want to leave this at the very end to talk about this, but I want to mention that currently in the Helm chart, I have the user store set to have user cluster 1 to cluster 10, which means that, you know, if your managed cluster names are different, then you might have to configure the secret on the hub and the on the managed cluster to match whatever names and whatever credential you want. So this part is, you know, the it's a little bit tedious, and I'll talk a little bit more about it at the end. I feel like this is something that we can contribute to the Argo CD agent community, and we can sort of hopefully remove this requirement. I play around it with a little bit, and I feel like this part is needed because they need to know. So having the MTLS connection is nice. We know the connection is secure, but they need to know the identity of the spoke. So that's why they have the current setup like this. But I feel like, you know, if we're able to leverage some OCM component, maybe in a way we can provide that identity without having to use this user password authentication scheme. Okay, before I get to actually deploying and trying out deploying the an Argo CD application in this hub and spoke mode using the Argo CD agent, are there any questions?
So when you talk about the identity, it's not the identity in the uh client side, right? They put that in another credential.
Yeah, it's not the identity in the client cert.
Okay. Um, but in the client side, they basically there could be like using the common name or something as an identity. So currently they need like two things, like the client side is only for the MTLS connection, and then another credential is need to use for identify the identity.
Yes. So you're saying maybe they can use the client cert, you know, attach something in the client cert payload and parse that out to use as the identity.
Yes, because in Kube, when you have a client side connect to the Kube API server, the Kube will use some existing attribute in the client side to identify the identity. For example, the common name in the client cert, the CN field in the client cert will be identified as the username for the actor. And in the client cert, there is also aux field, which is a list of it's a string list, and that is identified as groups in the for the user. So that's how Coop does today.
Okay. Definitely gonna use that information and discuss with the Argo CD maintainer. So I was gonna bring this up at the very end, but next week in the office hour, we were able to invite Jan, the Argo CD maintainer, to join our office hours, OCM-io office hours, and discuss the obviously this integration project. So this
Okay.
is something that, you know, that I definitely have something in mind to discuss soon. So thank
Cool.
you for bringing that up, Kujan. Let me ask him and see what his opinion is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do the demo for the manage mode of application deployment. So manage mode, um, when I the manage mode application is supposed to be created on the hub cluster. So when it's created on the hub cluster, um, it will be propagated down to the managed cluster. So I just create the application on the hub cluster on the left side, but remember on the hub side, we don't have an application controller, so it's not able to reconcile, right? So it needs to propagate down to here, and then once once it's reconciling, it will reflect the status back uh, to the manage. I mean to the hub. So currently the sync status is unknown or healthy, so we can so you can triage that even on the hub. Yeah, so there's some fail to load, so get fetch. So probably some connection issue with the unable to get hubs. Yeah, this got a little bit weird. So the manage mode, what it does is, if you modify something on the hub, modify the application spec on the hub. For example, if I remove the sync policy here, it will reflect on the it will reflect on the managed cluster. So I just removed the sync policy. I removed the automated pool, and then it's gone here as well. And then when I do the autonomous mode, you'll see that it actually works differently. So let me get rid of this app, and then we can see on the manage, it'll be deleted as well. So now we have both apps. Now we have both apps. Remove. Let's get rid of the. Let's get rid of the manage mode Argo CD agent add-on, and then we're gonna reinstall the. We're gonna install the autonomous mode add-on. So what the autonomous mode do is the application CR is supposed to be applied on the managed cluster instead. So the source of truth of the application, instead of being on the hub cluster, it's on the spoke cluster, and the hub cluster application CR is just a reflection of the managed cluster one. So let me just make sure. Let's make sure the add-on is up, and then it's running on the autonomous mode. So let's apply the application on the managed cluster. And then of course the managed cluster is able to reconcile this because it has the application controller. So if I get so if I look on now, it will provide a reflection here on the app here. So now remember I mentioned that the managed cluster is where the source of truth is. So if I modify this app on the hub side, like let's say I did what I did last time on the manage mode, now we move the automatic pruning. This shouldn't reflect on the managed cluster side because it's running on autonomous mode and the source of truth is on in here. So we can see that because even if I move the automated prune, it didn't change the actual source of truth, which is on the managed cluster side. So that's the main difference between the autonomous mode and the managed mode. And then so we can see that both are still in sync. There's something wrong with the app, but I mean for this exercise. It's not really critical. We're just mostly interested in the status, and I mean the application CR is able to propagate from hub to manage, or from in the manage mode, and in the Thomas mode, the app is able to reflect back on the hub side. So that is basically it on the whole solution. Um, Again, the main discussion point and the main part right now is the authentication scheme, and I'm gonna go and talk to the Argo CD maintainer about that. And then besides that, what is next is, I think Q Jang mentioned that it'll be nice to have these charts be pushed to our Helm repo. So Q Jang, is it? I I don't see the GitHub action is on the Helm. I mean, on the add-on contribute repo. Is it somewhere else? Can you briefly talk about how I can push that over into, I'm guessing, into here charts. So I
Mm,
need to, yeah,
I
go ahead.
noticed that I just noticed that there is no action, so I need to take a look at that repo, trying to create an action in that repo uh, to push the chart. But in general, so some repo already have that GitHub action. Um, it's like we need to so the main flow is that whenever we tag publish a release, and the one of the action in the repo will package the Helm chart and push the Helm chart artifact, append the artifact into the release, and then the action will trigger the Helm repo. Trigger the action in the Helm repo, and the Helm repo's action will download the chart from the certain release version and commit that into the Helm chart repo. So we can add the same thing into the add-on contrib repo also, I think.
Okay, I get it now. Yeah, because it was missing the workflow. I was a little bit confused on
Yeah.
how it gets there. But okay, thank you. Yeah, it's not a watch, but it's definitely gonna be nice to have. It makes it a bit easier to work with instead of having to clone the repo.
Yeah, so I have a question about the chart also, like because so what we currently did is to for the Argo CD part, what do we just extract some manifest in the Argo CD chart, official Argo CD chart, and build this one? And are we going to like enhance Argo CD chart so it basically can just run a slimmed version with official Argo CD chart, or what's or we need to always think between the two?
No, I think you made a great point. I think that's what I should have done. I should have took, so there's a official Argo CD Helm chart, but what I should have done is modify that and configure it so that it behaves similar to the hub chart that I have, or even the add-on one. Like, I'm supposed to modify it in a way so that it slims down and then package it.
Okay.
So I completely agree with you, and that's, I'll definitely continue to enhance it. I did it this way currently because the Argo CD agent project is still, the Argo CD agent project is still left to Neo, and we technically we don't need to, we're supposed to only host this one, I guess, which goes back to your point, validate your points. Like, we shouldn't be managing the first two charts. We should be only worried about this one, and then how to install those charts should be done on their own.
Got it.
But yeah, I completely agree with you. Yeah, I will take a to do. So I did this at the beginning because it's a little bit easier for me to understand, because I'm grabbing all the wait, I'm on the one chart. I'm grabbing all the manifests, and I know for sure I didn't include the application controller, right?
Right.
On the so Well, I need to take a look. I'm not 100% positive that the Argo CD Helm chart can disable the application controller, because that is one of the that's one of the key component of the yeah, the one file. That's one of the key component of the yeah, that's in other words. I didn't use this chart because I was overwhelmed by the amount of options they have. It's just endless. But
Got it.
I'm not 100% that you're even able to. Let me just take a quick look right now. Like, if you can disable it, it should be wrapped by something, right? A value control dynamic cluster distribution. Yeah, maybe it is possible because there's something. There's which one? This is done instead of a cluster set. Okay, maybe it's not. Yeah, control. Yeah, control. Oh, maybe I can do zero. Replica zero. Okay, I will definitely play with this. Yes, I think you made a great point, and yes, this is something that I should enhance this report with.
Okay, thank you. This looks great.
No, I mean, all the hard work was done by you guys, you and all the developers that work on the add-on framework. I'm just a consumer of your great APIs. So thank you. It was really fun to play around with the add-on template. It was pretty awesome. I mean, but having said that, I mean, it is not the easiest thing, because you really have to watch the formatting when using the add-on template, and it does take some playing around with, but it's great. I mean, it's honestly it's obviously a lot better than writing the old way of writing the add-on managers and then have to package it in Go code, etc., etc. It's great. So thank you, guys and girls. So the next step is obviously, having the documentation available on our website as well. So that's something I'm working on, either in the user scenarios or the concept or somewhere. And then I think August and I will be working on a blog post on this as well. Right, August? Sorry, I dragged you into the conversation. So yeah, I think, and next week in our community office hour, if anyone's available, please attend, because we got the Argo CD maintainer joining, and it'll be great to if you have any questions, you can ask him directly regarding this project. Okay, that's all for me.
Hey, thank you
Any
very much. That looks great.
any other questions? If not, thank you all for joining. See you next time. Take care. Bye.
Yeah.